You guys know me, I'm Shelly. I'm here with the
Sofreely.
Yes. We're going to be talking to Sofreely today so much about herself.
So freely.
So freely about Sofreely.
Yeah.
So welcome to another episode of It's All in My Headset. It's the new web series exploring the mental health experiences of folks within the gaming world, from the guys that make the games to the guys that play them. We are essentially raising awareness one level at a time. As one of the clinical mental health board members for Safe in Our World, we are also partnered with them. They are a mental health charity dedicated to supporting the games industry and wider community. And their mission is to eliminate the stigma surrounding mental health and ensure support can be accessed by those who need it. They support gamers and game developers across the globe with practical tools, training, and resources covering burnout, toxicity, self-advocacy, well-being, leadership, and much more. And you can find out more at safeinourworld.org. I am your host. I am Sheila, Shellder, Shelly. I'm a therapist and content creator. But most importantly, who is Sofreely?
Hello. I'm Sofreely. Otherwise known, a lot of people just call me Soph. I am also a content creator, I guess. I stream on Twitch. I have 2 jobs, basically. I work at a bookshop. I work at a leftist radical bookshop. I also stream on Twitch like 4 days a week and talk about a lot of politics.
You do.
I do talk about a lot of politics. It's important to me, specifically leftist radical politics and also games and stuff. Kind of just end up doing a lot of ADHD streams where basically things just end up being whatever they end up being.
That's cute, but also
which could be in a number of
you
things.
Sing.
Oh, I do sing.
You make songs.
This is true.
Many a time we'll be working, like during my work day. I will just tune in if I'm doing admin and you will just be making someone a song because that's the power of your brain.
Yeah, and the name gets added to a wheel and then we randomly choose a chatter and then there's a wheel of genres and we randomly choose a genre and then we make a 16-bar song about that chatter. For however long it takes.
You come up with the lyrics yourself?
Yeah, so we come up with the lyrics, I guess, with chat as well.
Okay.
We crowdsource the lyrics and write it together.
She also made a song.
Yes.
A vampire song.
I did.
Could you talk a little bit about that? Oh, I'm bringing all the things up.
You did! Yes. So I wrote a song called I Want It All, which is on Spotify. It's called Want It All, and it is about specifically one vampire, a shared passion of ours. Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
Astarion.
The one and only. Those of you who have progressed far enough in the romance may remember that he says, I want it all at some point to you.
Yes.
And that's what the entire song is based about.
Mood.
It's being just take all of me.
And with that, we will be talking about today, low self-esteem, themes surrounding self-esteem. Do you know what? I wanted to talk about something very briefly here.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to my sister-in-law, I was saying we're going to be talking about self-esteem. I'm going to put on really comfy, baggy clothes. And I was going through the list with her of I'm going to have my baggy tracksuits on and I'm just going to get really comfy and really cozy. And she was like, that's really interesting. And I was like, why? And she was like, well, it's just interesting that you're going to be talking about your body and talking about self-esteem. And you're telling me that you're going to make yourself feel as comfortable as possible in really, really overly baggy clothes. And I was like, shit. You got me there.
You done told me
because
something.
I realized I knew that I was going to be speaking about my body today. I subconsciously knew probably how vulnerable I was going to be today. And I was already preparing to cover all of myself or put myself in the most baggiest thing so that I could speak about my body today. And I just thought that was a really interesting point to bring up. So I made an effort. I was like, no, I'm gonna wear something that
Feel cute in.
I feel cute in, but also vulnerable in. That was interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of made a similar decision. When I was trying to decide what to wear this morning, I was like, oh, I could dress comfy. Honestly, it's a bit too hot. All of my comfiest clothes.
It's fucking warm.
And all of my least perceptible clothes are long sleeve and long pants. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that.
My first question, before we even get into self-esteem, talking a little bit about that, I'm more curious about your content creation journey. Could you talk us through a little bit about that, your journey?
Yeah, I guess I don't remember when I started in terms of Twitch. I haven't really made much before that. But basically, I think it must have been in 2021. I think I started streaming, and the whole reason I started streaming was because I was I used to do this like co-op Valheim game with a bunch of friends of mine, and then we like played on a really late game save, and I realized I didn't know how to do anything by myself. I promise this is going somewhere.
No, I legit.
I realized I didn't know how to do anything by myself, so I was like, okay, I really need to like make the progress myself in Valheim, but I don't want to play alone because Valheim to me feels like an inherently social game.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I guess I'll stream it. My first stream was without a camera. The second stream was with a camera. And then my third stream was a birthday stream, and I got raided by Limmy, who you may know. That's fucking massive.
What?
Yeah, I got raided by Limmy on my birthday. Yeah, I got raided by Limmy on my birthday. And then I kind of immediately got affiliate after that. So I really lucked out. And I didn't really talk about politics that much. My aspiration was like, oh, I'd like to be a political streamer like Hassan or something like that. But I didn't really talk about politics that much when I started because I was just like, that's really scary to talk about your political opinions.
It's a vulnerable...
Yeah, it's a really vulnerable place. And so I didn't really share a lot of my political opinions to start. But then once I got more comfortable and once my audience kind of showed me that like they agreed with the same sort of opinions, the same sort of vibes, I became more and more confident over time. I also joined a political book club at the bookshop that I now work at.
Oh, that's...
I joined a book club at first because I was like, I want to get better at talking about my opinions because I felt very self-conscious about not being able to express my opinions very well or being very articulate when expressing my thoughts.
That's interesting.
And now I sort of, talk about politics almost every stream. I think I'm much more of a sort of cozy streamer, but with like politics you can vibe with.
Yeah.
Did
The way you worded it was like, oh, I joined the book club because I wanted to be more articulate about talking.
Yeah, I wanted to practice.
That's really
basically
interesting.
talking about my opinions in front of a group of people. I wanted to practice because I don't.
What made you anxious about sharing opinion before?
I don't know. I don't think I was always as articulate as I am now, and I definitely can improve even now. But it's funny because I think a lot of people would describe me as articulate when it comes to my political opinions now. But like, I don't know if it was an imagined self-consciousness, which we'll talk about. But like, I've had some issues with dealing with feeling self-conscious about my intelligence for a long part of my life.
Interesting.
Which we could talk about. Yeah. Because that is interesting,
okay.
I think.
And that was tying in then with you knew that you had a passion for politics, which is something that's already controversial.
Yeah.
No matter what your political opinion is.
Yeah.
You are going to be drawing some kind of opposition or some kind of discussion, which is also ties in with the I need to be articulate and I need to feel confident with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your space fosters such accommodation and such safety and is so fulfilling. You said earlier, so one of the reasons about tying into self-esteem was the confidence, sharing your opinion online.
Yeah.
I guess to really understand self-esteem, what does that mean to you?
I think self-esteem can mean a lot of things in terms of, I think it can be, and I feel like I have pretty high self-esteem in some areas and pretty low self-esteem in others. The Cambridge definition or the textbook definition would be just sort of your vision of yourself.
Yep.
And your sort of level of self-confidence and sometimes how much you like yourself, which, for me, it's sort of like, I like the character that I am. I'm very proud of this sort of person that I've grown to be. But yeah, sometimes I struggle with confidence in terms of I have a lot of body image issues. So it's like, I think I've described myself in the past as generally having quite high self-esteem. That being said, though, I do have massive body issues, which are a huge day-to-day issue for me. So, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's poor self-esteem. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I have tried to get to a point where I don't necessarily see how I feel about my body as how I feel about myself. I've kind of gotten to a point where I separate those two.
That's right. I was going to say.
Quite explicitly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where I'm like, if you ask me if I like myself, I'll say yeah. If you ask me if I like my body, I say no.
That's really interesting. So you're seeing yourself and your body as two separate things.
Yeah. Which I think is a conscious effort on my part. I've tried to do that. I've tried to evolve to do that.
Can I ask, and obviously, please just whatever you're comfortable with, when do you feel like that separation started for you? That like, Soph as a character, love her, but the shell, the body that Soph is in, not so much. Yeah. How did that happen?
I'm not sure exactly. I think because I've struggled with body issues for basically since I was a teenager. For most of us, obviously. I do believe that I have dysmorphia, which obviously is not diagnosed, but I do believe that I have it in terms of like, I feel like I see a different version of myself in the mirror every day, which we can talk more about because I know you struggle with it as well.
Yeah. Just for those of you, so body dysmorphia it's essentially a distortion in how you view your body to how it actually is on the outside. But it also can present not only to do with like seeing yourself as bigger or smaller, but you can get hyperfixated on certain body parts. So you might think, I don't know, for example, my arms are really big. To other people, they wouldn't think that, but to you, you are hyperfixated on that.
Yeah.
So I also would say that I have experience with that, definitely.
Yeah. So I think coming from that perspective, I think, you know, there was this body positivity movement, I feel like in the mid 2010s, which kind of just didn't work for me at all.
No.
Body positivity did not work for me at all. And I feel like this sort of separation of, I always said like religion and state, and it kind of feels like that, of like mind and body. I think that probably started a little bit kind of after the tapering out of the body positivity movement, like this, it's sort of full swing of it, where, and then a little bit very encouraged by, I started going to therapy in like 2021, just for like a short like 10 session thing.
Oh, nice.
And I specifically did it to talk about, among other things, my body issues.
Wow.
Basically, body positivity never worked for me because, and I think a lot of people will relate to this, that like, I don't like my body. I don't like my body, you know, and I don't like it. There's some days that I like it. There are few and far between, and sometimes they're just for a couple of hours. And I think that's okay, because I think the thing about body positivity is that it also kind of made me feel bad for not loving my body every minute of every day. Like you were betraying yourself, you know, by not loving yourself, you know,
really
despite what the world says, blah, blah, blah. So I'm very much a sort of body neutrality person now. Where
can you talk a little bit what is that? What's body neutrality?
Where if body positivity is trying to sort of encourage positive feelings about your body, regardless of how society has encouraged you to feel about your body or how people around you have encouraged you to feel about your body. Body neutrality is kind of what it sounds like in terms of encouraging you to just feel neutral about your body. So for me, it's just seeing as my body as a vessel. It's the thing that carries me around. It's the thing that I exist in. It has no actual indication of who I am as a person. It doesn't have any bearing on what I like, who I am as a person, my beliefs, my dislikes, you know, those little quirks that people hate or love about me. My body is none of these things.
Wow, okay.
You know, it's separate from my mind, my character, my
soul,
personality. You know, and I think you can get very spiritual with it. I think for me, it's just like my mind versus my body just being the vessel that I occupy. And for me, that's been a lot more productive, because it means that I don't feel guilty when I don't love my body. But it's also very easy for me to step back and say like, hey, it's okay that you don't love your body today. It's just a fucking body.
In a way, the agency moves to you as a person, as your character,
exactly,
and away from your physical attributes, which I think is really interesting, because as women, also we need to talk about as women in content creation, but as women in general, our worth is placed so much, our value is placed on our physical attributes, you know. It's very rare that I don't know, like, it's just interesting in media, like, it wouldn't be a woman walks down the street in the movie and the guy's like, wow, she looks so smart. Wow, her brain is so big. Look at that big ass brain. Like,
brain. God damn.
God damn. Like, you know, it's so, I just find it interesting. I've never actually thought about it like that. I actually probably find it hard to separate my worth from the way that I look sometimes. And my self-worth can very much depend on how I feel about my body that day.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah. Which very much has been the case for me, and it's still, you know, I very much still struggle with it some days. Some days it's a lot easier than others. I don't know, when I was walking around the other day thinking about self-esteem, and I was wearing a really nice outfit the other day, and at the same time I was like, I really like who I am. I had this moment of being like, I like who I am. And I think that's really cool that I like who I am.
Yeah.
Even if I don't always like how I look, and I can be disappointed by my body, but I can rarely disappoint myself in terms of my own personality.
Your own personality.
And my character. And I feel like I can rely on that, whereas I can't really rely on a body which changes. And
I'm
shifts.
really curious, because earlier you said, you said you had like a worry or an anxiety around your intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to bring you back to that very quickly.
Yeah.
How has that changed?
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing there's a lot of growth of like, okay, how I view my body is neutral. It's not dependent on me. I love my character. I love who I am. But then there was a little bit of anxiety about your intelligence before.
Yeah.
So what's kind of helped you make peace with that and value that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still have moments where I feel self-conscious about my intelligence. So for those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2001. So when I was 7,
Neurospicy child.
yes, indeed, when I was 7 to 8 years old, I was diagnosed.
That's good. And honestly, rare for a girl.
Yeah, very, very
to be
rare. In
diagnosed.
South Africa, I was diagnosed. Basically, my teacher alerted my parents. They were like, listen, something's not right. Something's not right. You need to get this
hyperfixated with politics. She's in the...
That started later. I was hyperfixated with my stationery. I used to like role play with my stationery. So I'd have like my scissors be like a character and
wow,
my pens and pencils
that's
be
cute.
like. So
I too, as a therapist, would be like, that's an interesting child.
I don't know what that is. What is that? I basically just had concentration issues, you know, which is what it boiled down to.
Yeah.
And teachers were like, you need to get her diagnosed. I think she probably has ADHD. If you don't, she's probably not going to pass the year. So then my parents did, and surprise, surprise, I had ADHD, just like my brother, 3 years prior. Mm-hmm. And I was on medication for 7 years. And then
That's a long time.
Yeah, until secondary school. I think maybe it was a little bit internalized in me when I was young, when I was a child, that I had to take medication to perform like the other kids.
Had it been explained to you what ADHD was?
I don't remember. I remember specifically one time some of my medication changed and I was like, what's this? And my parents were like, it's to help you test better. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I test poorly, but okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that
so I
then
don't
later you were anxious about intelligence.
Yes. So I don't really remember being explained. And when I was, my mum would be like, listen, you have ADD. She called it ADD then.
Okay.
And she's like, listen, you have ADD, but it's very slight, is what she used to say.
Okay.
It's very, very slight. You're like perfectly, totally normally functioning, but it's very slight.
Do you feel like that was her coping?
I think that was her coping.
Yeah.
I think that was her, and maybe that sort of self-consciousness rubbed off on me, where I was like, I see you seem to feel self-conscious about this.
So I need to.
So I think I do as well. So I basically kind of went through elementary school, secondary school, and then university thinking I was less intelligent than average.
Wow, that's also
yeah.
a really difficult label to put on yourself. It kind of makes sense considering that your early experiences were, hey, we take this pill for you because it makes you better.
Makes you better.
It makes you smarter.
Makes your brain good.
Makes your brain good. And then, we know with ADHD anyway that there are concentration difficulties, memory difficulties, a whole range of, emotional dysregulation that can affect how you learn at school.
I did terribly in maths as well.
Yeah,
and I had a maths teacher who made fun of me for not focusing in class. And that was the year I stopped Ritalin.
That's such a shame.
And she used to make fun of me when I zoned out in class. She used to ask me for answers to question and be like, oh, I don't know. And she'd be like, yeah, of course you
Well, of course you don't. I have dyscalculia, which was diagnosed by the time I left uni. It was way too late. I remember I failed maths GCSE 3 times. I tried to tell my teachers, no, I really don't remember. Because I did really well in all my other subjects. I mean, really well. I was annoyingly an A-star student. And maths, I was honestly just could not get it, and I would study and study and study, and then I started giving up because I felt like, well, clearly there's something wrong with me and the teachers think I'm choosing this. I remember on a parents' evening the maths teacher being like, I don't understand, look at her grades and everything else, she's obviously just doing this because she thinks she's funny. But there was something that stuck with me. It was on GCSE results day, and I had my biology teacher. She took my GCSE paper out of my hand and she looked at my maths grade and she was like, yes, you're not going to get into university with that maths GCSE grade. You should probably try and find a college somewhere that might take you. And here I am as a registered therapist.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. I think as well, when you're growing up and education and studying becomes such a part of who you are and your value, like also getting praise from teachers, getting no praise from teachers, or being like, well, clearly you're, not good. You walk away feeling extra rubbish. But you've said now that your intelligence is something that you really value. Where has that healing come from?
It's like 2020 radicalized me in terms of COVID and seeing the BLM protests in America, and just gave me a lot more passion to speak about things. And I was still not very, again, confident about talking about these things. But then I was kind of, because you've reached the sort of, proficiency where you're now able to identify where you're not very good, and also be able to admit that I didn't know things as well, because I think, previously, especially if you're very self-conscious about your intelligence to begin with, admitting that you don't know something is the scariest thing to admit. And I definitely am not the most experienced. I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable. I definitely have a lot of gaps. But there's also things where I'm like, I'm now capable of forming a thought on something, even if I don't have a lot of experience in that particular topic. I have a sort of moral compass that helps me to articulate an opinion. If you'd asked me to do that like 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it, you know? And I think part of that does come with just a lack of self-esteem and lack of self-confidence.
You made a point earlier about being a woman and sharing your political opinion or just your opinion.
Yeah.
It's taking up space.
Yeah.
How has that been for you as a content creator and as a woman, taking up space, political space?
Yeah.
Sharing your opinion online, how has that impacted your self-esteem? What has that been like for your self-esteem?
I had an Instagram reel go viral.
We have
ago.
to talk about this.
A couple months ago. It has 2.2 million views now.
And also, we need to talk about the comments. But anyway,
that's what I'm going to.
I'm
right?
sorry. I'm excited.
That's where I'm leading up to. So, like, in the Instagram reel, it's quite simple. I basically am talking to an AI chatbot called Sesame. The male character is known as Miles.
Yes.
And I hate him now, but anyway. It's me basically having a conversation with the AI chatbot and challenging its use on humanizing language.
Yes. Yeah.
The most interesting thing about it is that the comments are a horrendous swamp of misogyny.
Yes. And also comments from women.
And comments from women basically calling me insufferable, being like very pick me about it as well.
Yep.
But most men basically calling me a bitch, saying I'm being mean, saying I'm stupid, saying I don't let him talk, saying I'm interrupting him. And if you watch the reel, I would encourage you to do so. I don't think I'm disproportionately rude.
Nope.
I think I'm quite polite. Also, it's a robot. I don't have to be polite to a robot, but I was.
It's like saying thank you to ChatGPT.
Exactly.
And 3 million trees died.
Exactly.
It's like you were being really polite considering the environmental,
it's good job.
difficulties.
Pat on your back.
Well done, Miles.
Again, AI has no boots to lick, and they still insist on licking them. But anyway, and something really interesting about the comments is that people, specifically men, were so ready to dehumanize me in comparison to the AI. Specifically, if we looked at the language, they were much more willing to call me things like the woman, the streamer,
the female.
Yep. But when they talked about the AI chatbot, they would refer to him as Miles by name, he, him, my guy, my bro. You know, so people were much more willing to humanize him. And I really think it is just because I put a little bit of mild pushback in the way that this character was talking. And a lot of men who watched it perceived it as a woman being rude to a man.
Yes.
And there was even, I checked today actually, someone left a comment linking another Instagram reel of a man talking to Miles, and everyone in the comments is like, goated. Amazing.
What is that then? What is it about a woman giving pushback?
You make it really just space. I got death threats. I literally got death threats in my messages. Someone sent me a message saying, I hope you get cancer and die slowly after watching that reel. And I was like, that is a crazy way to respond to me talking to a robot. I think like it's interesting because we're talking about taking up space and then talking about like self-esteem. I think my body dysmorphia has always been very centralized about taking as little space as possible. I've always wanted to be as small as possible. Physically, existentially.
Yep.
And yet, being sort of into politics, having opinions on politics, probably the loudest possible, biggest possible space I could take up.
Actually, it's really interesting that what I do on Twitch is kind of the opposite to how I have been my whole life of like, I need to be invisible. In terms of the physicality of your experience with self-esteem, how has that been on Twitch? In terms of being on camera, and making TikToks in itself, making a TikTok and looking at your face.
I definitely have engineered. We've talked about this a little bit offline. I've engineered my stream in such a way that I've presented myself in the most favorable light.
Oh, we need to talk about this.
Yes, which we need to talk about. I recently moved my stream setup as well to a new room.
You did, yeah.
And I literally was like, it needs to face the right side of my face. That needs to be the default angle because the right side of my face is the better side of my face. If people see the other side of my face, they will think it is ugly. They will think I am ugly.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Has that always been a thing?
It's always been a thing. I actually kind of noticed it when you'll see I have a scar here from piercing my nose on the left side of my face. And then when I got it pierced, I was like, I did it on the wrong side. This is the worst side. Fuck. I learned then that I have like a better side. I also have a be right back screen. I don't get up in front of camera. I always go be right back. I'm never on camera when I stand up. I try not to be because I'm really self-conscious about my legs and specifically the lower half of my body generally.
It's so interesting. Like, what is it about your brain that sees that left side differently?
Yeah.
I feel that way about like my jaw is probably the biggest one. I have quite a soft jaw. I, for some reason, could be looking at a photo of myself and I would see the biggest double chin. And I genuinely have friends that'll be like, Sheila, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I will hyperfixate, and then I won't post that photo.
Yeah.
Or I will do anything I can, or I'll unpublish the VOD.
Yeah.
Because I think that I looked too fat in that video, which I think is, I mean, in itself, like, we need to talk a little bit about
internalized fat phobia.
Internalized fat phobia.
Yep.
And where that comes from.
Yep.
I mean, Thinspo was the...
Oh my God.
all of the range. I was a Tumblr girly, and I lived on Tumblr. Lived, breathed. I ran 2 Tumblrs, in fact. I ran a 5-sauce fan Tumblr.
Excellent.
And just a normal main one.
Yeah.
And I would queue post, so it would post whilst I was at school.
Incredible.
I meant
Wow.
business.
Wow,
I had,
you were
I had
proper.
like
Okay.
13,000 followers.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
No
I was.
shit.
Yeah, I used to
Okay.
write fanfic as well. But I also, sadly, because I was in that space, I did repost a lot of thigh
together.
gap, collarbones.
Yeah.
I really, really unfortunately was sucked into that world. What, I was probably 12, 13.
Yeah. Did you ever come across Pro Anna?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
How do we explain?
Well, I guess Pro Anna just stands for pro anorexia.
Yeah.
Literally, which is
Yeah.
like anyone who's never heard of that before, they're like,
I mean, okay, I saw posts.
Yeah.
I didn't interact with them. I come from a very gorgeous traditional Irish family where the women are beautiful and curvy, and my nana used to say, we have like the extra on us because we need it in the winter, and like she would always be so positive about the fact that we were curvy women.
Yeah.
And that was from when I was a girl. And that was really, it was such a contrast for me because that's just not what I'm seeing anywhere else. It was a real, oh my God, yeah, from that age, not even to take over the conversation, but from that age, it was like, once that got into my head, that
just kind of stays.
Being curvy was wrong. And then everything I saw was solidifying that to me.
Yeah.
I was just forever in turmoil.
Yeah.
But I did see that stuff on Tumblr, and I think I was too scared to go down that rabbit hole to reblog or to look at the blogs and stuff. I just think I was too afraid to. But I think maybe because I already knew that I was feeling unhappy. Did you?
I did.
Shit.
I used to seek it out and I browsed it.
Okay,
they had
that's
literal like
huge.
to-do lists. They had like instruction manuals, which I followed unsuccessfully, which then also led to a deepening of the eating disorder. So I was like, oh wow, I can't even do that right. I mean, which I don't know. I feel like I was fairly okay with my body up until I remember a friend of mine had a conversation with another friend of mine while I wasn't there. And then she came to me and told me about the conversation where she was like, your friend, insert name here, mentioned that you look like you've gained a lot of weight recently. And I said, you can't say that. And like, I think that's where it started because I basically didn't know that. I didn't know that. And that for me, I think was what started my dysmorphia because I couldn't perceive the weight gain that other people supposedly could perceive. And that I think led to just a general distrust in my own perception of my own body and how I fill a space. And I kind of since then have not really believed my own reflection and find it very difficult to believe people. Oh my God, huge. When they say things about my body, I'm just like, yeah, sure, but you would say that. Yeah.
Wow. Could you mind me asking, how has that impacted you in romantic relationships when you've actually had to be vulnerable?
Surprisingly, I think not that much. That's the thing. It was always more of a relationship with myself than it was with other people. It was actually kind of irrelevant what other people thought.
That's what it is.
And I think that's also why other people saying nice things about your body doesn't matter because it's what you say about your body that matters. And I'm only going to believe myself.
Yeah, it comes
and I am an awful critic. Like I'm horrific, which I can tell you a story which might be a bit triggering for people.
Trigger warning.
I had to get my wisdom teeth removed and then also 4 other teeth because I was getting braces.
Oh, I did that. Yeah, that sucks.
And I got them all removed at once.
Yep.
So in one surgery. And so then I had to be on a liquid diet for a month, and you can see where this is going.
Okay.
I had to be on a liquid diet for a month, and my mum was like, oh my God, you're going to be so skinny at the end. Oh, no. And then I was on a liquid diet for a month, and then I did lose a bunch of weight. And my mum saw me in a swimsuit afterwards. She's like, oh my God, you look incredible. You were so skinny, oh my God. And of course it was a liquid diet. I immediately put it all back on. Yeah. Because I went back to eating normal food. But that stayed with me for the rest of my life, to this day. It's something I still sort of occasionally have to think about and then encourage myself out of, where it just kind of stays with you, And then all the sort of pro-ana advice that I saw as well and sought out as well. I like internalized a lot of it. And the thing about like disordered eating and body dysmorphia is that, you know, when it comes to someone who's struggling with it, there's very little that you can do or say, and a lot of it might just be as triggering.
Yeah.
To be
Any
honest.
comment
Any comment where people said, you look great, you've put on weight, you've lost weight. All of these were feeding it. I think when we grow up, and I don't know about you, but like we had talks about like eating disorders when we were in school.
I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
So
no education there. So we had a talk at school about eating disorders, and I remember them talking a lot about how unconscious it is, how the girls don't know that they have an eating disorder. Ooh. And now I've kind of been radicalized a bit where I'm like, no, we know. Like, we make active choices. And when people say you look ill, it makes it worse. So yeah, where I was like, no, I think, and for me, like, Pro-Ana, I think, was very much that, where it was like, people are doing this to themselves. They're looking up advice and guidance and doing it. But I'm doing pretty good with it now.
Yeah, I was going to ask how, I mean, firstly, thank you for sharing. I think that is such a vulnerable experience.
Sorry.
No, please don't apologize. I'm actually so like honored that you wanted to talk about and share that. It's a terrible thing for a teenage girl to go through, and it's very common then for low self-esteem to arise around teenage years. I personally think that a lot of my self-esteem issues came from bullying. Firstly, I was ginger. And people make...
Great start.
Yeah, I'm really winning the genetic lottery with that one, guys. I'm going to have loads of friends. By the way, ginger is now in. Chappelle Rowan is...
And freckles.
And freckles, you know, that's in now.
Yeah.
But when I was in school, I would have people, when I would sit down next to them, people would pick up their lunch trays and be like, I don't want to sit next to gingers.
That's
and they would get up, and there was one girl that did that to me.
Insane.
And she got up and she made all her friends get up and they walked away. But at the time, I was deeply disturbed because I was like, this is a part of me I can't change.
Yeah.
I actually went home and asked my mum, can I dye my hair? My mum was like, absolutely not. And I said, people won't be my friend because I'm ginger, which is ridiculous. And it was almost just like, because you were ginger, you were then already put into the box of you're a loner, you're not cool. And then I probably overcompensated by trying to be really funny and just trying to be really extroverted. And I don't actually know why. I mean, I guess with bullying, it's not really, there is a reason why. I would never know why I was picked by this certain group of people, but I was, and they made my life hell. And then actually, luckily in year 10 and 11, I made friends with a bunch of nerds. But before that, I mean, I would be in the girls' toilets and I would be peeing and there would be girls that would come in and be like, oh my God, Sheila's so annoying. Like, she's so ugly. Like, genuinely. And I would sit in the toilet and I would hold my breath because I wouldn't want them to know that I was in there. And they would just be talking about me. And there was one girl that pretended to be my friend, came to my house. And at the time, so I grew up in a council flat. This girl, she pretended to be my friend, and I shared a room with my mum at the time because my brother was still living at home. We had separate beds, but we just shared a room, which was also really common in Irish culture. And she went and told everyone that I was poor and that I shared a room with my mum. And everyone ridiculed me for it.
I'm so sorry.
There's stuff like that I think happened at such a young age that solidified to me that I was not worth it. I was not worth friendship. I was not worth kindness. If it wasn't for my, if it wasn't my looks, it wasn't my hair, it wasn't the way that I was, then it was my background. They would say awful things. It was so intense, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this because I don't want to take this away from you.
No.
But just on the subject of self-esteem, it got so bad to the point where I had a Facebook and people would post death threats on my wall and photos of bleach. I think
that's awful.
Yeah, I mean, it really fucked me up for a long time, and I was not. I think it wasn't until year 10, 11 I met a group of lovely girls, and then my confidence started growing. And then by the time I got into college, I actually made really, really good friends. And then I was like doing a lot of healing work. And I feel like I very much have come out the other side. But I think when that happens to you at that age, as a teenager, you are deeply scarred.
And you kind of, because it's so inexplicable and it doesn't really happen to the kids around you, you really kind of are left with no other explanation than something's wrong with you. Like, I'm very, very lucky. I was never bullied. I was at worst ignored by my classmates. I didn't really get any attention from boys. It was fine because I was also really scared of being and dating anyway. It was kind of cute, but I was terrified of dating.
That's very cute. That's so common. I remember a boy tried to hold my hand at school, and a guy tried to hold my hand on the way home from school, and I ran.
I just realized how lucky I am that I wasn't bullied, and it's just incredible. I think that's probably, you know, in terms of like, I don't think I've ever battled with like self-esteem of like, I'm not worthwhile, I'm not worth loving. I have an avoidant attachment style, which does come with quite a high self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, in
You don't
terms of
need
like,
anyone.
a difficulty being sort of showing vulnerability, but like quite a high self-esteem, especially when it comes to like relating to other people. And it's always just very interesting to me, though. It's just awful, the things that kids do, because I really didn't have any experiences with it. I was so on the outside. I promise I didn't bully anyone. I feel like when I'm like, oh, I wasn't bullied at all, people are like, ah, you were the bully.
No,
I'm like,
no,
I
yeah.
just was like a complete outsider, basically.
Yeah.
And my entire friend group was kind of complete. Like, my friends were a lot more popular than I was, and I was just kind of there. Like, I was the sort of kid that people just kind of forgot that I went to school there.
Oh.
Which, like, I didn't really mind because I was very quiet.
I surprisingly
Yeah.
wasn't a quiet child,
Yeah.
even though I was being
Well, I think
bullied.
it's coping, right? It was a coping
Yeah.
mechanism. Just like, well, maybe
I
they'll
make
like
them
me
laugh.
if I'm funny.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go to the birthday party if
Maybe they'll
I
invite
make
me
them
if I'm funny. Even if it's
Look at me now.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Oh man, I'm sorry you went through that. That's
No, I
awful.
mean, I really do feel like it sounds so cheesy, but it really made me who I am.
Yeah.
I went to college.
Yeah.
I then was really weirdly, I was so popular in college.
Yeah.
And I had never had that before.
Yeah.
People wanted to be my friend.
Yeah.
I was invited to every party.
Yeah.
People would follow me around. I didn't know why.
It's because it made you who you are. You just became a really fun person to be around.
I also went hella emo in college.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I went into
you go.
college, I
Yeah.
like, in my Hayley Williams era.
Excellent.
And then, yeah, uni was great. And I've honestly never had an issue since. I'm very lucky, but I have an amazing social group and amazing friends like you. But also,
Likewise.
a lot of my self-esteem work had to come through, I mean, it's internal. I went to therapy. I was in therapy for like 3.5 years with a
Yeah.
private therapist.
Yeah.
Working through all of that shit.
Yeah.
All of the emotional baggage, and then my self-esteem. And then meeting Tam, my fiance, was probably really part of the healing. I do agree that self-esteem is internal, and there is still a lot of work I need to do, and I have my days where I'm just like, oh my god, I look terrible. And actually Tam like catches me when I say something. I think one day I was going down, I was like, oh my god, I look a fucking troll. And he was like, why do you say that about yourself? You know, he like,
'cause it's really shocking to people
yeah,
who care about
yeah.
you. You're like,
He, like,
why would you say something
yeah,
like that?
he like catches me, and he's like,
Yeah.
that is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
don't speak to yourself like that.
Yeah.
And it was only through him really talking to me about also like this weird thing, but like I trust Tam so much, and I put my trust in him.
Yeah, that his feedback actually matters.
That his feedback matters, and that
Yeah.
if he says I look beautiful, or he says that I'm the most beautiful person in the world,
No
he once said that I was more beautiful than Hayley Williams. I know that's a lie, but I'm going to believe him.
He's lying.
I'm gonna believe him because I think
Yeah.
that's really how he sees me.
Yeah.
And so if I don't love myself, then that's
Yeah.
okay. Tam can love me on the days that I don't love myself.
Yeah. You know, as you said, it's like because it's such an internal relationship that you have. It's just so
Yeah.
difficult to find someone that you trust. I think like I've had to kind of, when I was in therapy and I had to work on it, on like self-esteem stuff, and it's also kind of how I came to body neutrality, and also how I came
Yes.
to I had to, so this sounds really weird, maybe a little strange, but when I was in therapy, I described it as I have a council in my head, but it's a really poorly organized council. And I have...
Okay.
Yeah.
This is great. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to love this.
Right, I'm ready. I'm
All
gonna
right, you're
steal
ready.
this from my client.
All right, so and I've told a couple of friends this. So I had the council, which was two basically members on the council.
Okay.
And one member of the council would say fucking awful things about
God.
my body.
Did they have a name? Did they have
They didn't have a name.
An image?
They didn't have an image.
Nope, they just
had a tone of voice, which was just
Oh.
like, oh, you look fucking awful today.
Oh.
God, like, who lets you out of the house?
Oh.
Dude, why did nobody tell you you
not a
look
fan of
like
this
that?
council person.
Right? And when I said stuff like that aloud, my therapist was like, you hear what that sounds like, right? And I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty mean.
You say crying. I know.
It sounds pretty mean, yeah. It's not very nice. Not very nice. And then I had the second voice on the council, which would address the first voice and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you such a bitch? And then it was really disproportionately angry at the first voice.
Oh.
And they would just bicker until I would just make
Wow.
terrible decisions about myself.
Wow.
And then basically I talked about therapy where it was like, okay, I need to introduce a third voice. And the third voice now, the entire job of the third voice is to be like, hey, guys, what's going on?
Oh.
Chill. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I understand why you're reacting that way to your mirror, you know, your image in the mirror right now. And I understand why you're trying to yell at the first voice, but like that's not really helping. And that first voice, you're not really helping either. I understand why you feel the way that you do. But like we know that you tend to be a little bit irrational. And second voice, yelling at you is not going to make you feel any better. You're just going to feel worse.
Wow.
You know, this third voice was basically just a mediator.
Oh my God. I'm getting emotional.
I'm sorry.
My eyes are like welling up.
Oh yeah, I needed this third voice to basically moderate the first two, because it was like, listen, I know why both of you are reacting this way. It's not really helping though. Neither of you are achieving the thing that you think you're achieving. The first one, you think you can shame me into a better self-esteem. And the second one, you think you can shame the first voice into loving yourself. But you're doing it so aggressively that that's never going to be the outcome.
Wow.
It became a habit of trying to use this third voice, or at least trying to amplify and hear that third voice, where at first she wasn't very present. She wasn't really around that much, but slowly and steadily, I really tried to focus on that third voice. It sounds really imagined and strange, but that third voice just being like, hey, it's okay. Like, I get why you feel that way, but that's not a reasonable response right now. And I think that's what I needed as well, is to be like, look, I don't think it's entirely unreasonable that you feel that way.
Yeah.
What you're perceiving in the mirror might be very shocking to you, might be what you're not used to seeing, might not align with how you were perceiving yourself just now. Photos are a big problem for me.
Oh.
Because I can feel fantastic that day, and then I'll see photos and be like, wow, I didn't know I looked like that. And I remember my major response, and I think it's very much echoing that first time, that first, you know, thing that I overheard from that friend was like, why did nobody tell me that I looked like that? That's my first thought. Shaming yourself into loving yourself, that's not gonna fucking work.
And you developed that through therapy?
Yeah, like it started in therapy, and like I very much, I'm self-aware enough that I kind of described the counsel this way, and then my therapist was like, maybe we need a third voice.
Wow.
And they were like, if
That's a good
you did
therapist.
have a third voice, what would it sound like? I'd be like, I think it would just be like, what the shut
What the
up,
fuck is going on?
calm down,
Yeah.
guys. Like, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that really helps. And I do
Yeah.
listen to the third voice more often than not these days.
Wow.
So
I really like this idea that the third voice that comes, it sounds like that body neutrality that you were talking about, where it's like, okay, there can be a gray.
Yeah.
I mean, in CBT, we talk a lot about, I always tell my patients about black and white thinking, about
Yeah.
there's always like, I think it's very common to have it either this way, I am so hideous today, or I
Yeah.
am the best looking
I'm
person,
fucking
I'm
gorgeous.
fucking
Yeah.
gorgeous. And there is, like, we're never allowed to be in the gray. It's
Yeah.
either one or the other, and that's exhausting.
It's
and it's trying
exhausting,
to
yeah.
find
Yeah.
where that gray is. And it sounds like neutrality is really that.
Yeah, I feel that way a lot, where like even on good days where I'm like, oh, I look great today, I even
Yeah.
try and recenter it back to, but wait until they get to know me.
Oh!
Like, shit.
Wait until they see my big
Wait
ass
till they see my
humor.
big old brain and my big old sense of humor, you know, where I just constantly try and center it back on my character. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's immovable. That's the thing that doesn't change when I look in the mirror, you know? So,
I love that. I was really curious to ask, actually, and I think you're already talking about it, this like idea of building an understanding of why you are the way that you are, because I think with understanding then comes compassion.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel this way because of my early experiences.
Yeah.
You know what I talk to my clients about when I'm talking about core beliefs? But I like to explain it as you're a child or an adolescent and you have a garden, and every time something happens to you, a seed is thrown in the garden. And that seed is a core belief. And a core belief usually sounds quite well-rounded of, I am enough, I am not enough. It's a belief about who you are. And obviously you could have, you know, it ties into caregivers. You have two really amazing, secure parents who have a lot of verbal affirmation to you. Maybe that throws seeds in your garden that say, I am worth full love. Maybe you have an absent parent, and that could be a core belief of people are going to leave me, right? This idea of a garden is every time something happens to you, a seed is thrown in, and as you grow, you then have these flowers that are a core belief. Someone at school says, you're ugly, and that threw a seed in that I'm ugly, I'm not good enough. You might get older, and someone might not actually say anything like that to you again, but you'll have an experience at work where someone says, your project wasn't that good. Do you know what? When I last saw you, you looked better? Are you okay? It could be a completely different thing, but it waters that flower and makes it feel like that is what is happening. Understanding and acknowledging where those flowers have come from in order to be compassionate. It was a really long-winded tangent of saying that. And I try and explain that. And it's really interesting that I will talk to my clients about that, even knowing that I have core beliefs, which are negative, that I have to work through. But it's that self-compassion and understanding. And I love that, this like neutral voice of, okay, of course I would feel this way about myself. You know, I've had a really difficult time in school. How, in terms of, you know, with this counsel, with this self-compassion, how else are you implementing strategies to cope?
It comes back a little bit, in a weird way, to politics, where I have gotten very good at deconstructing why I feel the way about certain things in terms of how society has engineered me to feel those ways, that feel that way about these things. About, you know, the internalized fat phobia of just thinking that, you know, if someone is fat, it means they are stupid, it means they've done worse in life, it means they are lazy. We automatically attribute a lot of factors to being overweight that just literally are completely irrelevant to weight. It is irrelevant to weight. It's a number of factors play it into weight. There is no moralistic virtue to being skinny, but we've obviously been taught that, and even unpacking that. And sometimes I can kind of be I can pat myself on the back and being like, unpacking this stuff is a radical act. You know, doing these things, being neutral about these things, unpacking these things is a radical act in and of itself. It is an act of rebellion.
It's really refreshing to talk about, actually. I mean, I'm a curvier girl, and that is something that I've always struggled with.
Yeah.
I've never had a flat stomach, even when I was my skinniest. I have polycystic ovary syndrome, so that's part of it. It's a hormonal imbalance, and it causes you to have a little bit of a tummy. And even when that is something that I've always struggled with.
Yeah.
And then when I started dating T, I really wanted to start embracing my body completely with someone, because up until that point, I had never... Even with myself, I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Like I wouldn't be naked in front of anyone, you know? I really wanted to embrace that.
Yeah.
And so to do that, I would one day I said to Sam, I was like, okay, I need to get this over with. I'm going to show you my stomach. I hate my stomach and I want you to look at it. And this is my belly. And I and I showed him my belly, and I sat down and I said, I have rolls, and I really hate that I have rolls, and I have a belly. And he, I made it into a behavior, a statement.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how many fucking posts I saw about Aphrodite had a belly and all that. I'm sure she did, and I love that for her. But it's really,
I'm holding myself to a different standard than Aphrodite.
I'm not a Greek goddess. I don't have the power.
Aphrodite had a lot of other stuff
she
going
had
on.
a lot of stuff going on. You know,
she was doing great for herself.
She's doing great. She's a goddess with magical powers. You know.
Yeah.
He just embraced me and was like, "But I love this. This is so womanly." And you know. And sometimes I still show him my rolls. I'm like, "Look at my rolls," and then he'll go, "I love it," and he'll rub my belly, and
really
it makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And it was a moment of just trying to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But there's days where I do that, and then I say to Tam, I'm really feeling bad about my belly today, and that's the one way that I deal with it.
Yeah.
But I used to be really messed up. I used to take photos of myself to see my jaw, and then I would look up liposuction and fat injecting stuff.
It's worth mentioning as well that right now, snatch jaws are particularly trendy. So if you've noticed in yourself that you've had a resurgence, it's there was a thing about noses a couple years ago where I've always been really self-conscious about my nose.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and my nose
you
is
have
fine.
Such a cute nose.
Thanks. It's fine. I almost thought about, I did think about for a little while getting a nose job because it's slightly aquiline.
Why?
I know. At the end of the day, it is stupid. These things are stupid, you know? And it's, again, it's oh man, there's so much stuff on the internet where it's oh, guys won't notice, or nobody notices. But I notice.
I
notice. And that's bad enough. And I will always notice something.
But what about on stream then?
Yeah.
What about when you are content
Yeah.
creating? What strategies have you implemented to protect yourself and like help your self-esteem?
I do always wear makeup on stream, which like I kind of wish I didn't.
Okay.
But also a couple of years ago, I implemented bagel mode, which I think you've seen a couple of times. Bagel mode is my little ping tuber.
Yes.
My little bagel is a little corgi,
Bagel.
little cartoon corgi. And I use bagel mode on days basically where I am not confident enough or I'm ill or something, whatever, for whatever reason I don't want to appear on camera. And then I have bagel mode. And even if I don't always use bagel mode, it's really nice having that security blanket where it's like, look, you can still stream today and get the sort of benefits, the emotional benefits of streaming, but you don't have to be on camera. And sometimes it's a really nice way to negotiate with myself about streaming, where it's like, if I really don't feel like streaming on a day, again, the third voice will be like,
Can you put bagel?
what about bagel mode? Would you stream if you could use bagel mode? And I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll
Bagel
stream
mode?
with
Oh,
bagel
okay.
mode.
So you do wear makeup. Can I ask you what that serves? Is that just because you love it and you feel more
I think
confident
for
in
me,
it?
yeah, I
Are
think
you
it just
nervous about not wearing makeup on streams?
I like how I look with makeup. I feel like I've never really been, I wouldn't say I'm self-conscious about being on camera without makeup. I think makeup for me, which I kind of had to have a bit of a reckoning with it, because a couple of years ago I was like, is it anti-feminist for me to care about makeup? Is it anti-feminist for me to do makeup in the way that I did? But then I was like, you live in a society. Makeup is a creative thing at the end of the day.
It's for
It
sure.
doesn't have to be for looking
sure.
attractive. I feel better, or I feel attractive when I wear makeup. And also, makeup for me has been a tool of expressing myself. Like, it makes me feel a lot more alternative.
Oh yeah,
When I wear
your makeup is
makeup.
fucking gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wear like eyeliner, and I do my eyeliner the same way every day.
Great.
And I feel like it gives me the sort of edge that I need to look a bit more alternative.
Yeah.
I feel like it conveys the kind of person that I want to convey. It also
Yeah.
just helps me feel more confident.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, any tools that help you feel more confident, whether they are aesthetic or not, I think you should use what you've got, because
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel confident. So
Yeah. Yep.
so yeah, like I would say I could stream. I think if someone asked me, could I stream without makeup? I'm like, yeah, I think I could, but I don't want to. And I think that's okay.
There's a surety there.
Yeah.
And compassion.
Yeah.
When I started streaming, I was also so different. I love my eyeliner. I love my eyeliner.
It is fly.
Thank you.
Fly.
When I first started streaming, I
Yeah.
would be in the best outfits. I would do my makeup completely. It had to be perfect. My hair would be perfect because I was about to sit on camera for 4 hours and I wanted to look my best. And then as I kind of went on, I realized I didn't have the energy to keep that
Yeah.
up anymore.
Yeah.
And I stopped streaming without makeup on. And also I started streaming in my pajamas because I realized I just didn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And if people were there just to look at me whilst I was pretty, then you're not there for me.
Yeah, that's
you're
a really
just,
good point.
you're there for to stare at,
Yeah.
at a girl. But I wanted people to remain for my character. Again,
Yeah.
kind of what we talk about.
Yeah.
Like who I was outside of my outfits and stuff. Towards the end, when I was like kind of nearing the end of streaming, I was streaming in nudies
Yeah.
with my hair up
Yeah.
and with no makeup on.
Yeah.
And then I started eating my dinners on stream.
Yeah.
And play Cyberpunk with spaghetti sauce
Yeah.
around my mouth. So
Yeah.
bagel mode. Then when you are on camera, you wear your warrior paint.
Yeah.
My nanny used to call it that. She's putting on her warrior paint like she's going
That's
into
so
battle.
cute.
Is there anything else you feel like has been helpful for you in terms of your Twitch journey and self-esteem in particular?
Comparison. Comparison, and I think that is
Why haven't we
that is
spoken
such
about
a can
this?
Of worms. That is such a can of
Oh.
worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, comparison really is the thief of joy. Growth seems to come in spurts, where it's
Yeah.
like you get lots of follows, you get lots of new chatters, you get lots of subs, whatever, and then it seems quiet.
Yeah, when you first joined Twitch, huh?
Yeah.
You are you are the
Yeah.
new fresh thing on the block.
I don't know, when it comes to comparison, I've gone through really, really unhelpful phases of looking at friends, looking at big streamers, and I think the worst is when you look at friends and you're like,
Yep.
oh man, I wish I was as big as this person.
Yep.
I
What
wish
are
I was
they-
growing
yeah.
as the scale of this person.
Yeah.
I've slowed down, this person hasn't. What am I doing
What am I doing
wrong?
different?
And it's awful because it starts making you see your own friends as competition, and that's so unhealthy, so toxic. Like the big streamers, at least you can sort of wave it away, being like, well, they have, they have the
60K
opportunity,
or
they have
whatever.
60K, and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But like, it's happened to me with, I tend to go through phases as well of
Yeah.
fixating on one specific streamer and then comparing myself to them.
Interesting.
and being like, oh, I'm not as smart as them. I don't talk about politics as much as them. I'm not as articulate as them. I don't know as much as them. Above everything else, like, I think if I looked at stats, they would fuck me up. But that's why I made the choice not to look at stats.
Yeah.
But I do want to support my friends.
Yeah.
I do want to look at my friends, and I want to support the big streamers that I like. But it's so hard not to compare yourself and be like, God, what am I doing that
It's part of the game.
What am I doing wrong? What are they doing right?
100%.
You
It's
know?
part of, I think it is part of it. It's,
Yeah.
you know, Twitch in itself is, I mean, you're also, when you're sharing communities with friends,
Yeah.
you are sharing viewership.
Yeah.
That is the difficulty
Yeah.
sometimes. Oh, this is very, really vulnerable, what I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
There was a time when I had really close friends that migrated to someone I introduced them to, and I really struggled with that initially. And I would check if they weren't in my stream, were they in my friend's stream?
Yeah.
Because I had that same core belief getting filtered or watered or whatever
Yeah.
of they're leaving me because I'm not
Yeah.
funny
Reinforced.
enough,
Yeah.
not good enough. This person's obviously better.
Yeah.
And I clocked it, you know, I really had to be like, whoa, this is not, I am putting my own representation. I'm taking, you know, this is my distortion of the situation. And I remember I spoke a little bit to T about it, being like, this is not, I can't compare myself to this person. And also I can't put my own spin on their reasons
Yeah.
for not being in my stream that night and being
Yeah.
in my friend's stream.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. That doesn't necessarily mean that what I'm thinking about myself is true, that
Yeah.
they're not in my stream because that my friend is better than me. That's
Yeah.
not at all
Yeah.
what the reality is, and I
Yeah.
need to catch that. But part of the Twitch is, one, sharing your viewerage when you're sharing communities, and two, you are in a sea of people that are also peacocking themselves
Yeah.
to get viewers,
Yeah.
and you are also part of that game, and it's really difficult when you are friends to not feel competition with them.
Yeah.
Have you found a way to, you know,
Not
help
really.
you get- I'm just going through it.
I think the best thing that I can do is just tell myself that this is recognize the pattern, and I have to reiterate to myself, I enjoy doing it for the sake of doing it. I want to do it for as long as it brings me joy. And does it still bring me joy? Yes, it does. It brings me so much joy. I love it very much. And for as long as that is true, it is worthwhile.
It is worth it. Also, I feel like you have to be quite a resilient person to be
Yeah.
online so
Yeah.
much. I really struggle towards the end of like streaming. I mean,
Yeah.
these sorts of streams that I do with you guys are
Yeah.
so fun because it's like, I don't even feel like I'm streaming. I'm just talking to you. And
Sorry,
it's,
guys.
It's great. You know, bye.
Don't give a shit.
No, towards the end of it, we had a conversation. Do you remember? I was like, I'm going to quit streaming.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
I really, not that I was doing it because I wanted it to serve me.
Yeah.
I just meant it was not making me happy.
Yeah.
And I had a really, like, my IRL was like flourishing, you know, I was like always out. I was like hanging out with all my friends, and then I'd be like, oh shit, I can't go out with this friend on Tuesday because I've got stream plan.
Yeah.
And I started realizing that my IRL was dictated by my stream, and I was just like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that personally for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the benefit of that because I didn't see stream as a career.
Yeah.
I saw it as a hobby.
Yeah.
So since taking a step back from streaming and just doing it in this way to talk about
Yeah.
mental health, I feel so good.
And one of
Yeah.
the only really good pieces of advice my brother ever gave me was like, yeah, just do something until it's fun. And then when it's not fun anymore, just don't do it.
Revolutionary.
And I was like, genuinely, that like changed a lot of things for me. Helped me with a lot of relationships where I'm like, oh, this isn't fun
It's
anymore.
not fun anymore. And what's that thing with Toy Story? I don't want to play with you anymore. You have cultivated such a meaningful space. I know I said that
Yeah.
earlier, and I'm going to keep
Thank
saying
you.
that to you. Like, I love your streams. I think
Thank
your
you.
streams are so, they're so you.
Aw, thanks.
You are so,
Aw.
you just you don't change yourself in any regard, and your
Sometimes
streams
to a fault.
yeah, well, like but that's so refreshing.
Yeah.
You have made adjustments and accommodation to yourself in the way that works. So you're not forcing yourself to have to stream without makeup because that's what society says that body positivity is. That is confidence for you.
Yeah.
That is confidence because you're still
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah.
You're still showing up and you're still doing your stream.
Yeah.
You're just doing it in a way that fits.
Yeah.
And from a very early age of being told by people around you that you shouldn't really be taking up space, your own core belief that I'm too much, you have cultivated a community and you've been on a journey of really indulging yourself to take up however much fucking space that you want and deserve, because you deserve to take up space in all
I'm gonna make myself small in response to
aspects.
that.
But
Really
you
interesting physical
do.
reaction
No,
there.
let's grow.
Thank you.
But you really do, and I think
Yeah.
you are inspiring.
Oh,
No,
thank you.
seriously, you are inspiring. You voice so much that I really, really want our younger women to hear.
Oh.
I wish that I had a friend like you when I was younger.
Stop
I'm gonna
it.
cry. I really did, and I'm so glad that
Stop.
we met at this age
Yeah.
because you reflect. It makes me emotional. I just feel my emotions very strongly.
I feel bad because I never cry.
I always cry, but it's just how I
So,
show
thank
my
you.
passion, and I truly
you.
believe that. What do you think you have learned from your journey?
I think, honestly, the most important thing that I've learned, and I talk about this a lot on stream, is that being creative, doing things just for the joy of doing them, is, in and of itself, a radical act. We have been
Yes.
taught for too long that it's only worthwhile doing something if you can turn a profit from it,
Ooh.
if you can impress someone with it, if you can get further up in life with it. For me, I think streaming has become one of those radical acts where it's like, it's really helped me to let go of the idea that your passion projects, that the things you do for fun have to be mainstream successful in order for them to be worthwhile. Sometimes they're just worthwhile because they give you joy. And I think that's the most important thing for me and streaming and content creation, where it's like sometimes it gives me joy to make TikToks and for them to go viral, and sometimes it doesn't, so then I don't. And I kind of refuse to do the grind. I kind of refuse to do the like, I'll do a TikTok every day, because
Oh god, that
then I just look at the numbers and they make me feel worse about myself, and I'm like, oh man, this makes me enjoy my hobby, which I'm doing because I enjoy it a lot less.
the like neutrality of the self-esteem talk, having
Yeah.
that like third voice that you were
Yeah.
talking about, that has something. It sounds like that has come through in other ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Of just like stream doesn't have to be 0 or 100.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be
It
bad.
doesn't have to be good, has to be bad.
just
It can be
stream.
50-50.
Yeah.
I don't have to do a TikTok a day, because that's also one extreme.
Yeah.
But I also want to make content when
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah,
You
the
feel
third
like
one.
from the person that started to the person now, what would you say has like changed the most?
Oh man, I'm so proud of me. I'm so proud of me. Because again, like the fact that like I kind of, sometimes I find it really hard to believe that I didn't want to talk about politics at all. I kept it like so family friendly.
Wow.
I kept it so family friendly, and I
could
would
not
occasionally
imagine.
make like a little joke where I'm like, huh, eat the rich, am I right? And I'd move on. And now I can have like these long, a good friend of mine described my streams recently as like kind of watching a video essay, like every time I stream. And that was a really, really nice thing to say.
I
That's
love
kind of stuck with me.
that. Yes.
Yeah, where it's like, I guess I express some thoughts, and that's really nice. I care about it a lot, and being able to share that with people and have it received like pretty positively is just really nice. And the fact that people stick around, that's really rewarding. And if you told me that, I would have been like, whoa, how'd I get the courage to speak about politics
Oh my
on
God.
the internet in front of people? And that's incredible, that's incredible. I've like met actual people who work in politics. I did an interview with Andrew Feinstein.
Yes.
I met Jeremy Corbyn.
I think young
Yeah.
Soph would be so proud of you.
Yeah.
Considering
Yeah.
how she was made to feel
Yeah.
as a young person, and
Yeah.
being afraid of, again, like saying how you feel and
too much,
being
yeah.
too much. We had a question here, actually,
Oh,
a
great.
lovely one. If someone else genuinely loves your body, do your own feelings negate and invalidate how they feel about you, or does it make you feel better when someone can sincerely see you for who you are and absolutely adore every inch of your being?
I'll answer first, and then I'd love to hear your answer as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'd say, I don't know, for me it really does depend on the mood I'm in, I guess.
Okay.
I think sometimes I can be picked up by somebody else, and sometimes I can't. Again, as we talked about a bit earlier, it really is a very internal relationship, I feel like, and sometimes it really is just a conversation between you and yourself, and you can have people knocking on the glass, but it's soundproof glass.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I
Yeah.
can't fucking hear you.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the room with
Yeah.
this version of myself. I think, and I hate to say this, but like if you hear it enough from the same people that you, again, as you said, you grow to trust and you grow to
trust.
love, and you're like, look, I like the things you like. I like you a lot, then yeah, I think those words do matter. If nothing else, even if it doesn't help me right then in the moment,
Yeah.
you've given me material, and you've given me a catalog of information to draw on to at least contradict myself.
I kind of already mentioned it with mine is placing my trust into my fiance, who I believe has my best interest.
Yeah.
Always. But also, there's something that has really helped me, and this is a personal thing, but mine was thinking about that my body and myself is descended from women that have survived. My body is made this way because we were living in a tiny coal town in the south of Ireland and, you know, living through harsh winters and surviving the famine. And so when I mean to myself, I mean to you, and you pushed me out of your womb, and you did that for me. You birthed me. And I know everyone has different feelings about family and connection, but this is just my way of dealing with it, is that I think about all of the amazing people that have come before me and that they survived so I could be here. Who am I to be mean and horrible to myself when
What gives you the right?
What gives me the right? I am a descendant of beautiful women that have survived, and I will continue to survive for them. And I think that has really helped me.
That's really beautiful, and that's very powerful. And again, it's a radical act, you know? Again, it feels like a radical act. Just, you're honest, even just choosing to be okay with yourself, I think is a radical act. Choosing to be okay with the fact that you're here and you're around and you look the way that you do and you sound the way that you do and you think the way that you do. You know?
Yep.
That's really cool.
We're doing good, Soph. We're doing really good. I think we're doing good. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope you've had I hope you had a really good time. Round of applause for Soph.
Round of applause.
Again, I'm going to take so much away from this conversation today.
Likewise. No,
I really am.
Yeah, no,
I'm probably going to
likewise.
think about this for months to come.
Likewise.
Yeah.
This has been really powerful.
And I will drop Soph's socials, so please, you should absolutely take yourself to Soph's channel and hang out with her and Bagel.
Thank you so much.
They will change your life.
Well,
yeah.
see.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I also just want to say that you've also been very moving, and it's been very inspiring to meet you. And it's lovely having you. And I mean, I'm just so honored that you asked me on.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah, what would I have to say? And it's just very nice of you to say that I did have something
You
to
have
say.
so much to say.
Very nice of you. And thank you all for watching as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so
And this will be up on YouTube, so
you.
you can rewatch it again. As many times as you want.
Many times.
All right, guys, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much.
Take care.